let's hit on a few of the things we touched on in the last episode, maybe from a different angle because they all have changing developments in them, and also touching back on the buy local theme. I mean, talk to people in California that may not understand why the policies here in California could be affecting the rainforests in
Mhm.
Ecuador, or maybe making things like Russian barrels that are supposed to be boycotted somehow making their way into the U.S. And really, it comes down to where's this energy mix coming from. But you
Mhm.
always put a ton of fascinating content around this
Yeah.
topic. But California's energy supply, and just let you riff on this.
Yeah, I'll start with the Russian barrels because in 2022, Iraq provided 68 million barrels to the California market. They were our largest source of foreign imports. That I to what I've seen, I haven't seen a number that large from Iraq in some time. In 2021, they provided 46 million barrels. We also received 18 million barrels from Russia in 2021. So that gap of 22 million barrel increase from Iraq in 1 year from 2021 to 2022 looks a little suspicious to me, because it almost exactly lines up with what we were getting from Russia if you added it in there. And there's been published articles on this through oilprice.com and some really interesting writings that have said, hey, these Russian barrels can come get washed through Iraq and then reclassified, repapered, and sent out to wherever. So that definitely exists. When I talk to any oil traders I know, globally, those barrels are on the market and they're floating around. I know I don't know if you follow in Twitter Spaces, the Canadian oil mafia pops up and has spaces, and Dr. Anas was on there and he was talking about like 15 to 1600, I think was the number, like off market crude vessels that are black market oil trade now happening throughout the world. So the black market oil trade has never been more significant right now. And so I think it's very easy to see, hey, somehow those barrels are getting to market, and it's very likely they're coming to a place like California where consumers anyway are probably thinking, oh, we don't allow that, that would never happen, not here anyway.
Right. Yeah, well, Ukraine flag in the bio, they're anti-Russia, and
Right.
yet the politicians they put in place are, basically passing policies to hurt the local economy, stifle local supply, but also allow, potentially Russian barrels that are funding the war in Iraq to come in. And that's the thing about energy. It's one thing with gas, it's a
Hmm.
little easier maybe to trace the molecules, but with barrels of oil, you
Hmm.
can load them up. They're a lot easier to transport. They're a lot easier to store, and they're a lot easier to blend or to wash, as you put it.
Right.
I just don't think people realize that.
No, they don't. They
Unintended.
they don't realize it at all, I don't think. And I think that's one of the things that maybe this big oil bill price gouging could inadvertently cause some people to look into. I don't know that anything will come of it, but if you're tracking where these barrels are coming from that closely and how the refineries are bringing them into the refineries, you're going to uncover some of these skeletons or issues that most people don't talk about. And on the emissions side, and it's again something that we're trying to do is cause attention and awareness around this. On the emissions side in the rainforest, California is now importing the same amount of barrels from the Amazon region, from Ecuador, Colombia, Guyana, Brazil, as it does locally. So we're losing, so far 65 million barrels a year during the Newsom administration. And the California Air Resources Board will have this in their scoping plans. Those heavy oil barrels from California are being replaced by South American heavy oil barrels because that's the nearest heavy oil that we can get up here in commercial quantities. So extreme environmental leakage is happening to the tune of, now I think it's 145 million barrels in 2022 came out of that Amazon region. So it's significant, and I think these policies, while they're not really talked about the second and third order consequences, as you mentioned, it's going to come to light. It's like the Big Lebowski. New shit will come to light. New
Yeah.
information has emerged, man. Like that's what's going to happen. It's like, oh my gosh, we're getting this from the rainforest. Just wait until the layperson starts to understand that. And they will start understanding that when it's $10 a gallon and they really start asking tough questions.